The internet's first viral hoax. And did you fall for it? Next on Retro Serial. Hey everyone, welcome to Retro Serial. I'm your host, Ian C. I'm glad you could be joining us for today's program. The internet can be a scary place, especially if you want to know what's true and what's not true. Well, today it's a little bit easier to tell, but in the early days of the internet, I remember not being able to distinguish between true stories and fake stories. Well, at least to some degree. I mean, obviously there were some stories out there on the internet that were fake and you could tell they were fake, but there were many stories that kind of had a gray area to them. And today on this nostalgic story, we're going to be talking about the internet's first viral hoax. However, before we do that, please let me remind you to like this video. Please share it on your favorite social media, and please subscribe to this channel. Those three things right there mean the world to us here at Retro Serial, and they're 100% free for you to do. But if you're so inclined and you really want to support this channel and what we're doing here, I encourage you to click the links below to both our Patreon page and our Venmo page. And very shortly in the near future, we're going to have other ways that you can support us financially. So I want to encourage you to do that if you are so inclined. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to today's story. It's often difficult to tell where a story really begins. For us, we're going to start in 1988 with a man named Joseph Matheny. He was a person who was into alternate reality games. An alternate reality game is a fictional story, and it is spread around through various forms of media. He, along with a couple of other collaborators, created a story called Ongs Hat. This leads us to ask the question, well, what is Ongs Hat? Ongs Hat is an actual ghost town in New Jersey, and as far as the story goes, this is the only basis in reality that it has. But like all good fiction that you're trying to somewhat pass off as a real story, you have to have some basis in reality. This is what gives it that gray area in which you can't tell if the story is really true or really isn't true. So Ongs Hat is an actual place in New Jersey. Well, the story tells of two researchers, twins, Frank and Athena Dobbs, who had been kicked out of Princeton in the late 70s for nefarious practices revolving around chaos theory. They decide after being kicked out of Princeton to move to Ongs Hat. And the reason they moved to Ongs Hat is due to the fact that by this time, this town, according to the story, had become kind of a haven for spiritual and alternative practices. So they moved to Ongs Hat and they set up a research facility there, and they gained followers. And they create what's called the egg. The egg is the structure that has the ability to portal back and forth between dimensions. This was sort of a mishap. Originally, the egg was designed to shrink people down to the subatomic level. But again, because of a mishap, the egg actually disappeared with a person inside of it for a good 7 minutes and then traveled back. And the person inside of it came out and he was glowing according to the story, and he said, I just went to this alternate reality, this other Earth that's exactly like Earth, except for no human life exists. Exactly like Earth, except for that. Well, this caused the researchers to do this interdimensional traveling on a regular basis. Well, this leads us to ask, what happened to Ongs Hat? What happened to the research facility? What happened to all the researchers and all the followers? Why can you go there today and not find anything? Well, according to the story, there were a few incidences that caused every member of the team to pack up and leave permanently to an alternate dimension. Most of which was a nuclear meltdown and interference from the government. Yeah, I mean, of course, if the government's going to interfere with your research, then you have to pack up and go somewhere else. But they didn't just go to another city, like I said, They went off-world to one of these alternate dimensions. But rumor has it, they still come back from time to time. Yes, they need supplies. And one of the things that they like to get when they come back is coffee. What are they doing? Well, they're still doing research on chaos theory in an alternate dimension to this very day. This all leads us back to Joseph Matheny and alternate reality games. In the late 80s, the only way to spread this kind of media was through the printed word, mostly zines and bulletin boards. But Ongs Hat was particularly popular. It even found its way into a magazine called Edge Detector, and it even found its way into a book called Incunabulous. Well, when the internet hit, because of its popularity, this story spread like wildfire, being copied and pasted on various internet bulletin boards. The problem is people believed this story. And the further problem is people believe this story even to this day. Mostly, the story runs as true among conspiracy theorists who are never swayed by the facts, even though Joseph Matheny has long been on record as saying that this was just part of his ARG. And while he did push on it a bit and get it spread out, he was always very upfront about this just being a story. So my question for you in closing is, did you believe Ongs Hat? Do you remember Ongs Hat? Were you there when it first came out? Did you help spread the word about it? Do you even believe it today? Well, that's our nostalgic story about the internet for Retro Serial. If you liked this story, please give it a thumbs up, please subscribe, and please share it on your favorite social media. And don't forget to click the links below if you want to support this channel financially. But I really want to hear what your experience was with Ongs Hat in the comments below if you ever did have an experience with it, or what you think about this story in general. Please let me know. I'm ENC. You've been watching Retro Serial. We will talk to you again on our next episode.